Hi guys, thanks for tuning into this video. This is my 7th video, and really I wanted to do a quick video on self-love and how we reach that, because I was listening to a video from a gentleman called Ram Dass. He's like a spiritual leader, and in the video he was talking about really how to develop self-love, where really the reality isn't self-love, it's self-acceptance is what it should be known as, because it's really trying to learn to accept yourself who you are. And it went the whole way back to childhood on this here, where he talks about when we're born as children, we're at our most raw, natural, and we're like that there for the first 5 years of our life, where we've no inhibitions. But our parents, and me, I'm a parent as well, what we try and do with our kids, I've been doing this as well myself, is we try to socialise them. So by socialising our children, it's to make them act in a way that they'll fit into society. So a kid's natural instinct will be to mess around, to play, to sing, to roll on the ground, to do all these here wonderful things we watch them doing, but we then don't want them doing in certain situations, in public situations that we feel they shouldn't be. So we tell them not to do these things, not to be themselves. And there's an interesting stat he spoke about, that a child is reprimanded 8 times more than they're praised in a single day. But as kids, all we have looked for, and all my children look for, is the validation of the parents, the love of the parents. So when they're constantly being told that they're doing that, not to do something, they feel that their parent doesn't love them. So a child will feel like they have done something wrong and they are bad and they are not loved 8 times more than they will actually feel like they are loved. And it makes sense when you really think about it, because it's a really difficult job to be a parent, be a kid, and you're trying your best, and it is trying to mould. We're being trying to be moulded to fit into a certain way to live and how we should be. And that creates a lot of self-doubt and insecurity with yourself, because you're constantly looking at validation of your parent that they do actually love you. So you start to change who you naturally are to try and become something else. And really, in essence, it's quite powerful when you think about it, because really a child then slips into a mask or a body of somebody else in order to fit in, and so that they feel that their parent has loved them. And it just doesn't stop at childhood. That we then end up carrying that mask with us into adulthood, through our teenage years, whether you're being accepted because you've done well in sports, or whether you're being accepted because you're doing well in class, or whatever it may be. And we bring that into our adult life as well, where maybe we stop looking acceptance of our parents and we start looking acceptance of our peers. So to feel validated, to feel loved, because as humans that's what we want to be. We want to be loved, we want to be validated. So you start to think, am I good enough? Am I sexy enough? Am I skinny enough? Do I have big enough muscles? Did I get enough likes on Instagram and Facebook? Do I have enough money? About the car I drive, the house I have, if I have it, if I don't have it. So by all these things, we surround ourselves by different things, material things, really, in essence, to try and look for that validation. So we're continually still looking for validation elsewhere, as opposed to just really looking at ourselves and loving ourselves for who we are, flaws and all. Because not enough people, well, very few people will actually try and ask themselves a question, well, who actually am I? Because we forget who we are. We forget who we are because we've been programmed as kids to be somebody else. So we're constantly looking that outside acceptance. And that's what creates for yourself your own self-doubt, that you actually need this acceptance from other places. Where actually, if we just sit down and ask us ourselves, like, do we actually accept who we are, flaws and all? When I started out my journey a few years ago, I just filled with negative self-talk, self-loathing, and things of this nature. Short temper, get angry and annoyed, and I hated myself for it. or I've actually started to learn before I started the process to try and help myself, I had to accept who I was. So I had to accept me for all my flaws. I had to accept me for, my short temper, for things that I had done, things that I had said, in order then to be able to sort of make movements to change who I was. So, like, we look for an example. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about a course you have in order to have self-acceptance. And they talk about actually standing in front of a mirror naked for 21 days, a couple of minutes in the morning, buck naked, and accept every bit of you. The rolls of fat, the spots in the back, the moles, whatever it is, just to accept everything about who you are, whether it's a physical or emotional. And by accepting maybe if you're overweight, or maybe if you're not emotionally happy or emotionally tuned into yourself, or if you're angry, and you accept all of this. And it's not to say you can't change it. You want to change it. I know myself. I forgot who I was throughout all them years, and then when I actually hit a wall, is I went on a journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance. And the way of doing that was by stripping everything back, seeing who I had become, to then make improvements to who I wanted to be, who I thought I should have been 20, 30 years ago. So, like, if I look at myself from having a short temper, so I'm in a process now of trying to make that a wee bit longer, until I get to a point where hopefully I don't have a temper, or whatever it may be. So it's just about learning to see who we are, where we want to be, and how we want to actually act ourselves, loving ourselves, so that we can then make positive reinforcements if we want to change, that is. So, strip it back, love yourself for who you are, warts and all, and then once you've done that, that's the way you can then start to improve and move forward. It's not about material things. Like, as I say, people will seek acceptance from many different things, about the car they drive, the house, etc. And like, that's why people who make, sometimes a lot of time when people make an absolute fortune of money, and then they realise, they're still unhappy because they still haven't learned to love themselves. They've been doing this here so everyone else would love them and then feel good about themselves, but they still haven't learned to love themselves and who they are. And then that's when they start a journey of probably self-discovery. We don't ask ourselves enough, who am I? Actually, who am I as a person? Because sometimes we won't like the answer we give ourselves. Find out who you are. Ask yourself that question. And sometimes that's a very difficult question to answer. Sometimes the easier question is, who am I not? Who do I not want to be? And you may find you're doing stuff that you don't want to actually be doing. Strip it out. Find out who you are, accept you for everything, and then make improvements. And love yourself unconditionally, fully, truly, deeply, unconditionally. Love yourself. And you can make changes. Take it easy.